Donald Trump held a little meeting in the Oval Office late last week, of course, to sign some executive orders and to talk about all of the political enemies that he is now going to be prosecuting while Pam Bondi and Kash Patel looked on. And at one point, by the way, a reporter did ask Bondi and Patel, sidestepping Trump, like, well, who are you going to get? And neither one of those idiots could say they're like, we don't know. Well, who are you? Like, what kinds of people? We don't know. They literally could not answer the question, even though they're the ones issuing the directive. Pam Bondi's office last week, in an article, by the way, a story that really nobody noticed. Her office last week, 2 days after Donald Trump called her out on Truth Social, sent out a memo to prosecutors across the country, U.S. attorneys, telling them what fake charges to use to take down left-wing groups and, of course, Democratic funders like George Soros. They actually have a memo. The memo went out to offices in, it's over here, California, New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Detroit, and Maryland. The lawyer who sent the memo from Todd Blanche's office, by the name of Kash Singh, suggested a wide range of charges for prosecutors to consider, including racketeering, arson, wire fraud, and material support for terrorism. That's how they're going to go after left-wing groups. Kash Patel and Pam Bondi have no idea, who the people are, but they're going to do it. And for the record, Trump doesn't even quite know who they're going after or why they're going after these people. Here is Donald Trump at that little Oval Office gathering last week, essentially acting like a mafia boss, talking about who may or may not be targeted. Take a look.
Soros, what names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know, maybe could be him, could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists.
Again, how does that not conjure up images of a mob boss, right? Because Trump's sitting there, he's like, maybe I've heard of this guy, George Soros. Maybe I haven't. Maybe George Soros needs to watch his back there. Maybe it's Reid Hoffman. I don't know. Maybe I've heard of the guy. Maybe I haven't. I don't know nothing here. Maybe sometimes bad things happen to people. I mean, that's mafia tactics there. It's mafia speak. And that, of course, is how he's acting. Illegally, by the way. It is illegal to do what he's telling these people to do, what the DOJ told him to do. And by the way, continuing on for the Singh memo for just a second, Singh pointed to a recent report by a conservative watchdog group known as the Capital Research Center, which monitors liberal money in politics. He asked the prosecutors to determine if the allegations were enough to justify opening criminal cases, adding that they should be prepared to submit their investigative plans soon. Because of the Trump directive to get this underway. So they send out the memo last Monday. Nobody talks about it. Nobody notices it, of course, until the press conference on Thursday. But it's all based on a report from the Capital Research Center, a right-wing group that monitors money in leftist politics, which is a tiny fraction of what goes into the right. And they found, by the way, that George Soros, since 1990, has poured, get this, $80 million into left-wing politics and different organizations and charities and whatnot. $80 million. Not even a third of what Elon Musk alone spent in the last 3 months of last year's presidential election. $80 million since 1990. We're talking 35 years. And he's only put $80 million in. And Musk poured in more than 250 between August, September, and October of last year. Yeah, George Soros is the problem. I'll tell you what the real problem is, though. Trump gave the directive last weekend to Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi's office responded on Monday with the memo. Trump goes out there on Thursday, says, this is what we're going to do. We don't know who or why or what, but we're going to do it. And according to political strategist Rick Wilson with the Lincoln Project, all of this is like 100% illegal, and any prosecutions they bring are going to be laughed out of court. On top of that, the lawyers who do this, the U.S. attorneys, the employees at the DOJ, they're looking at least a decade in prison. Let me read you this. According to Rick Wilson, the DOJ obviously is not going to forgive you for what you do. Under 18 U.S. Code, Section 242, if you use your federal office to deprive an American of their rights, you can rot in prison for up to a decade, and if the abuse causes serious harm, you're looking at life. Section 241 makes it a felony just to conspire in that abuse. So, lawyers, you're on notice. I mean, you've already been put on notice by former DOJ staffers and lawyers telling you guys need to go ahead and get your malpractice insurance in line. But you've been cited the code now. You know the section. You know that what you're about to begin doing is 100% illegal. And it could result in you not only losing your law license, but spending a decade in jail, or perhaps life in prison. Life in prison for following Donald Trump. And if you think, oh, well, it's not going to happen to me, Kenneth Chesebro, the architect of the Stop the Steal, we have the plan to steal the election, right? He lost his law license last week. Rudy Giuliani has. John Eastman has. Look at Michael Cohen. Of course, he has, turned himself around and all that. But all of these other lawyers, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, all these lawyers that have just been doing Trump's bidding, all of them were held to account. Not in a good way. If you think it's not going to happen to me, you got another thing coming. Because it will. It is. Now, Trump, of course, could end up pardoning these people before he leaves office, or he could just not give a damn. He could think, I'm untouchable, they're untouchable, nothing bad's going to happen. Well, I hope he has that mentality, because I can promise you, Democrats get back in power, any lawyer, any U.S. attorney that brings one of these cases, you will be prosecuted. And there is almost no way, given the timeline of events, the way all of this unfolded, virtually no way you walk away from this a free person. You will, most likely, end up in prison. And Trump's probably not going to save you either. With the ever-changing world of politics, I have to be sharp, focused, and of course, on top of my game, not just to keep up with the news, but to also keep up with everyone else in this very crowded industry. And sometimes maintaining my focus can be difficult when things get a little overwhelming, and that's why I've partnered with Brain FM. Brain FM has task-specific focus modes like deep work, creative, and motivation to meet your exact needs. There's also ADHD mode specifically made for ADHD brains. Brain FM is the only music company supported by a National Science Foundation grant award to improve people's focus. Brain FM recently published a study in the Nature journal Communications Biology showing that their patented music technology increases activity in attentional networks, doubles neural synchrony at brainwave frequencies associated with focus, and improves attentional task performance in people with ADHD symptomatology. Brain FM's mission is to help people around the world with a simple and accessible tool that supports focus, especially for those who need it the most. Unlock your brain's full potential free for 30 days by going to brain.fm/Farron. That's brain.fm/Farron for 30 days free.